This is Write Once, Read Many, episode 18.x, the Kevin Norton interlude. And we've got Vic here, of course.
Hello. Of course.
All right. Just getting the link up there.
Much better. It let me in that time.
All right.
Yeah, let's see how happy I am with this drawing, because I haven't looked at it since yesterday, and I was a little, I don't know, I was probably smoking or something.
I mean, yeah.
But oh yeah, I was really happy with this composition, like the way
Oh shit! It's Sky. Sky, you can listen to this episode because this chapter isn't spoilers for the rest of the book. I mean, It's only some dramatic irony spoilers, but it's not part of the main plot at all.
Yeah, no, it's just like a little side quest.
Sky, you should stay for this one, if you have time.
Oh no, it's too much pressure.
Too much pressure. I'm sorry. Not to make you the main character, it's just I never see you anymore.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, stick around if you can. This one is it's an interlude chapter, so it's like totally separate from the main story.
And the music you're hearing was written by Scarlett. Too busy, but that's all right. Anyway, though, we all love Sky.
Yeah, we stan Sky. Yeah, I was going for with this art, kind of like a
Oh, thanks, Sky.
man, what is it called? Like a stamp block type of situation, you know, when you like carve away all the lines that you're gonna do like on your little rubber pad and then stamp it. That's kind of what I was going for. Which like I know that Kevin Norton is not featured in this picture, but this is just what made sense.
Yeah. And I could imagine in some way this is, well, I mean, if he was just out of frame, like looking, it's a little far back for him to be standing, but it's fine. I think it's literally fine.
Yeah, I was gonna draw him, but I was like too happy with how the composition turned out with just Lizette here and Scion.
Yeah.
And I was like, her fucking like French girl outfit is too much for me though. Like she looks like, I like went to go read her description. And she's wearing like a pleated skirt and a beret, and she has a French bob, and it's like, what is that?
Yeah. French as hell.
He's like, wow, she's so fashionable. And she is fashionable. It's just like, it's like, you know, an American wearing, I don't know, what do Americans wear? Carhartts? It's like stereotypical.
Yeah. I don't think that people who... it's funny because I don't think people could name a Carhartt if they think of it as the American stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like foreigners.
Yeah. That's true. Greg said, I do like how it ends up with a sort of stained glass effect, very appropriate for Scion. Thank you.
I learned this week upon using mine eyes to read the book. Obviously, they do say it in Ward, which I've read with my eyes. And I did read the start of this book again, but somehow I had forgotten and been like, yeah, his name probably starts with like P.S. He's that kind of Scion.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had like thought too.
But no, it's Scion. And this matters because the origin of that version of Scion is like descendant. I mean, there's also another meaning here that says it's like young shoot or twig of a plant, especially one cut for grafting or rooting. Interesting stuff, Scion. Being grafted and planted in a new place. But I think both definitions are very apt for him, and it's at the in the beginning of the book they talk about how it's not an apt name because they're like he was the first one, so this doesn't fit him. And then when you know his
Mm-hmm.
full thing, it's like, wow, the people who misheard his name really they got it right.
Yeah, really latched onto something there. Um, Greg says, are you saying Wildbow like double meanings? Why, I never.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Taylor does so much tailoring in these upcoming arcs. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Well, I liked that
He's like,
it.
I need to make her name more impactful.
Yeah. I liked that she or he had set up with I said she because of Taylor, but that Wildbow had set up the those lines in that first chapter to sort of be like, hey, that's crazy that he's named like that, and then like I had never thought about it until reading both definitions of that version of Scion, and then like the amount of meaning in that for it to be a mishearing. I mean, he's just going ham.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, for themes, uh I mean, this fits the sort of class consciousness theme of the book, where it always pays attention to like people's backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
and their status in society. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, and specifically like there's like a lot about like homelessness this chapter. Like there's no beating around the bush with Kevin specifically. He'll be like, "Man, nobody's shook my hand in 15 years," kind of stuff, which is like very sad. And then like obviously like the like the like interactions between him and the rest of society and like how he needs to be like responsible for being conscious of that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah. And like I don't know, there's a ton of stuff about Kevin where it's like not that Wildbow shies away from it a lot, but I feel like it hadn't been as explicit up to this point. Like he's a gay
Hmm.
dude who is abused by like he's suffered partner abuse from a lady and stuff.
Hmm.
Like there's just all these things that are just made completely bare and plain. So
Hmm. Yeah. And I guess it's like like fate and happenstance is kind of like a big thing because it's like the problems in Kevin's life where as much as he like blames himself for them, they were just like kind of random accidents. Like he like just happens to get in this like abusive relationship and he just like happens to get ill or whatever because he has cancer question mark.
I'm not sure. Let me see. I thought he got like hmm, let's see.
I couldn't remember if it was like
I don't think
something.
it's cancer because no one even mentions cancer in the
Yeah,
comments afterward. I think he gets
he's got.
like uh well, it doesn't. It's not like hepatitis either. Cause anyway,
Yeah, it's like something that, it just had like by happenstance, and then like running into Scion and Scion just deciding that Kevin's gonna be his buddy and he's gonna vaguely listen to him sometimes.
hmm
It's like, I don't know, like these just really big things that you have like totally no control over. Even though he, as he says, is quote unquote the most powerful man in the world, he like thinks that he's responsible for these things that he's not exactly responsible for.
yeah, yeah. He's he's outwardly happy, but I mean, like, I think Kevin is a
He's like super, he's super
pretty
sad.
sad
He's
guy.
pretend happy.
Yeah.
I think that we skipped the audience participation reminder.
Oh yes. I did do that. That's right. So the audience participation question is, what would you do if Scion approached you instead of Kevin Norton? And you know,
Hmm.
you had read my words and gone, oh no, they'll only give an answer that vaguely is just, well, I'd do exactly what Kevin Norton would do because I'd be him. But like
Yeah,
that's
come on, guys.
that's clearly not the intent.
Pretend that you're some guy. You don't even need to be in Kevin's situation. You could just be like
You could just be
living your
you
life now, and then
somehow.
this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would love to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Um. Do you have anything more to say before we go into the chapter summary?
Now let's get into it.
All right.
So, this guy, Kevin Norton,
Oh wait,
he
sorry. It says my liver's done in. Even though
his
he didn't
liver.
drink.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it seems like it was like a
Oh, I thought I looked for
yeah.
hepatitis, but I must have mistyped or something. But yes,
Mm.
he says I got hepatitis somehow.
Oh, okay. So he's just like all around like his body's done kind of thing. Okay. Um, so Kevin Norton is standing outside with his dog, and he's loudly proclaiming to passerby that he is the most powerful man in the world. Super cringe. It's fine. Um, so he's like holding out a mug for change, but people are not really moved by his announcement and are just ignoring him. So he starts to talk to his dog Duke about gentrification and how they'll probably have to clear out of this area soon, because it's nicer and they probably have like security, like keeping homeless people out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
I
that's
mean, it's
fine
usually
because
just cops who do that.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't know if it was like a similar setup to the boardwalk or whatever, where they have like specific people.
Oh yeah,
Like,
maybe. I thought it was just sort of more like L.A.
yeah,
writ
it could have just
large.
been cops. Yeah.
I mean, I
Um,
know he's in London, but London does not
yeah.
have reputable authorities either. So,
Dude, I'm
oh hey
so
Vale, I
glad that
didn't
this
think
is
you'd be
like one
here.
of the only British chapters that we get, because I'm anti-Britain. Hi, Vale. Um, it's just that when I'm imagining them like walking around and then they're like talking about the environment, it's like so different from like how I would imagine a big city here that I like can't even fathom it. That's more my problem.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, he's like that's fine if they kick me out because we're just stopping by to check out his old quote unquote haunt. So Kevin explains to Duke that even though he's the most powerful man in the world, he doesn't feel like he deserves much. And the thing that keeps him up at night is that he might have failed in his responsibilities,
Mm.
being the most powerful man in the world. And he says the reason that he's got where he is in life is because of his cowardice and like always running away from his problems. And that he feels like he did the same thing with his responsibility.
I
So
I don't necessarily think that I'm not saying Kevin deserves anything in his life, but he did indeed squander uh quite a large opportunity for humanity. Uh,
listen, I I relate because I like also wouldn't have done anything. Um, Vale said, back from visiting family. I bet you made today's episode super fun because you thought I wouldn't be here. Sigh.
indeed, indeed.
You wish. Now we're not going to do any of the fun things we planned, and it's all Vale's fault. Um, so uh, Kevin thinks that if his instinct is right, that he actually made a huge mistake, and it took all of his courage today to like face the issue again.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, so a
And he
young,
is right.
very French woman, he is right. He did make a huge fucking mistake. Say this, I can never remember the pretty woman line, but you made a big mistake, huge moment.
No, that's right. You did it right.
That's what Scion says to Kevin after he clarifies his meaning.
Yeah.
Like Sion's just been out to fuck with Kevin this whole time. Kevin pros, pants on Zion. Cons, see listings 2.A 100 through 2.Z Z54 in the Library of Congress. Yeah, for real. So so this very French woman steps out of a nearby shop and she like goes out of her way to come over to Kevin and give him a $10 bill. A 10-pounder, as they say. Um and Kevin replies out loud that most people offer him money like most people who offer him money will just like avert their gaze and like try to like get away really fast. Or they'll like give him a lecture on how to spend it. Which oh boy. I've definitely like feel like I've seen that happen before to people and it like is always mortifying.
I've seen it happen too.
Yeah, yeah. But he thinks that oh, sorry. So the woman says she's like, I don't care how the fuck you spend your money. And he assures her anyways that he feeds Duke first and then himself and then before he buys anything else. As they call them, little comforts. So the woman asks about Duke, the dog, and Kevin explains that he's been named the Duke since he's second to the most powerful man in the world. This like
Man,
I
you're
like can't
really
handle how
not selling your. It's yeah, me too. Like I don't love this chapter because I just think it's so awkward for like the first half.
he's he's just so like, and I get like the like character he's playing. Like yeah, I've definitely talked to people like this, like especially like people who have, like been houseless for a really long time, where they're just kind of like telling everybody their business, but in like really weird, vague ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but like and he's like just like begging someone to ask about it is like so cringe for me. Um,
Please read my
uh,
literature about me being the most powerful man in the world.
yeah, if he had literature, that would be fucking better. He could have started a cult by now. Um, so she like obviously brushes off his claim, but she does introduce herself as Lizette, and she shakes Kevin's hand, and he gets all like sad and reflective, because times that people actually touch him are so few and far between. Since he's been on the streets. So he tells her how grateful he's been for this interaction, and that it might just be the vague push that he needs. And
It
she's like,
might just
"What are
be
you
the kick in
talking
the
about?"
dick in the balls that he needs to see this
He's
through.
I can just imagine him being like, "Oh man, maybe now I can see this through," and then like looking up at her, like waiting for that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, I
Um,
can only hope it wasn't like that because it seems like she goes right in for the kill. But it's also like the way that this chapter is written, like the lines are like the spoken lines are really close together without he says or she says. Like, you know what I
uh-huh.
mean? Like it'll usually be like Taylor said with disdain.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Greg said Science first outfit was basically a toga. I kind of wish Kevin stuck with that. Would have been funny. I think that to me, I'm the opposite. I think that like a toga, I'd be like, oh yeah, like of course a toga or whatever. But like the short sleeved jumpsuit is like so funny to me.
I also I I think the toga is probably more like he had access to a blanket or whatever.
Yeah. And he like yeah, I'm sure that he like just wrapped it around him. Um,
This nice plain
Little
sheet will look better
Mermaids
than no clothes.
Little Mermaid style. I was always so jealous of how Little Mermaid Ariel pulled that sheet off. She's like she's like tying it around herself with fucking ship rope. Um yeah, I can imagine Sion pulling that off.
Yeah. I could
So
imagine him rocking like an all rope garment.
I could also actually, what I want to see is a uh jean jumpsuit. I think
Oh,
that's
you want
like
him to
so
be in a
much.
Canadian tuxedo like you. So
I
you,
want
you
him
just
to
want
be in a
everyone to
Canadian
look like you.
tuxedo. I think that's not true. I would never want to see Taylor in a Canadian tuxedo. Um,
When I get good at
yeah.
drawing, when I'm really good, this is your punishment. You're gonna see a Canadian Taylor Cedo.
I don't think the Taylor would be that bad. I think the honestly the worst person to wear one would probably be Kraus. I like that makes me cringe inside.
Oh my god. He'd be like
He looks
23 and he'd be like, I was ironically into rodeo, which got me genuinely into rodeo, and now I dress like
Oh
this.
no. I'm really not judging the Canadian tuxedo because I do wear it often, but
He'd
it's
be
how you
he'd
wear
be
it.
wearing it
It's like a
because of a
mullet
rodeo.
situation. Yeah. Um anyways. So she's like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? The push you need?" And he asks if she has some time to walk and talk with him. And she does. She is like now she's getting kind of nervous, but she does tentatively agree. Um, and he says, "This will only be a couple of minutes." And then he starts talking about his life story, which I did find very funny.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like it all started when I was born. So Kevin was young and fresh 20-year-old when he moved in with his girlfriend at the time. And he wasn't exactly like financially secure. Like it sounds like he was kind of like living paycheck to paycheck if he had a job. I don't know.
It definitely sounds
And
like the equivalent of someone in America having bad credit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
It's
couldn't
like
put his
he
name on
just
the lease because his points
yeah.
were too low.
Yeah, and so he doesn't put his name on the lease. And so like things escalate in their relationship. Like it seems like she's angry because he turned out to be gay and she like wants him to leave, but he can't leave, and so she starts like abusing him. It sounds like it like started
Oh,
with
sorry.
like mental abuse and then escalated. And then, with really no one to reach out to and no resources for like men being abused at this time. There's no like uh what are they called? Like shelters or anything that he can go to. So he just kind of runs off and lives on the streets since then.
Vale, you're laughing at us doing Discord notifications, but we unwittingly moved it to this day so that you would be able to be back here. So, and that confused
Oh,
me. So it's all your fault, Mia.
it's actually all your fault, I think. And that's why we're not doing any of the fun things either. Um,
Greg
Also, I didn't
also
read.
did a. You're probably wondering how I got here, but Kevin Norton style.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it all started when I was born. Da da da. Da. Poor Kevin. So Kevin and Lizette have arrived at his old home, which he, I think, lived underneath this bridge, but it like since then it has water under it now or something. Um, and it's this small cobblestone bridge, featured here in this work of art.
Hmm.
Um, he asks her to hold
And the rest of the whole
Duke's,
chapter is here, more
yeah.
or less.
Uh, so he asks her to hold Duke's leash for a minute, and he approaches the bridge. And he like washes his hand and splashes his face with water. And when he brings his face back up, the golden man floats
And they
nearby.
only
And
ever call him
Lizette,
Golden Man the whole chapter.
yeah, he calls him the golden man, because he does not accept his name of Scion because like he like knows the basis of it.
Hmm.
And Lizette's just standing there like in utter shock, just like gawking at the situation. Because, she didn't believe him.
Sky, you've read like 2 chapters of this book. It's Scion. He showed up here in
Yeah.
London in
Yeah.
front of this
He,
man who's claiming to be the most powerful man in the world because he controls
hmm
Scion.
hmm So Kevin greets Scion and notes that it's been over a dozen years since he's seen him. And he walks over to Lizette and picks up her dropped umbrella, and asks her to approach Scion with him. And I pulled a quote here.
So it's, I said I was the most powerful man in the world. Wasn't lying, Kevin said. See? The golden man didn't react. So at the beginning of the book, there's like a documentary that plays briefly in a chapter, and it's like the first person we ever encountered with powers was in the 80s, and it was in 1984 or whatever, maybe 83. I always forget what exact year, but it was in like 83, and they found him floating over the ocean, and then since then they've realized he's got like the best powers out of anyone. So
Yeah, he's like he's the most powerful superhero.
he's very
And he was the
mysterious,
first one.
and he basically
Very
doesn't talk,
mysterious. He doesn't talk.
and his
He just
face
flies
doesn't
around.
change at all. He's like kind of a real weirdo.
Yeah, and his priorities are really mixed up. Like sometimes there's like seemingly natural disasters happening, and he's like saving kittens from trees.
Yeah.
So he's ultimate himbo.
Yeah, he's basically a
So
big dummy with all the best powers, so,
yeah. So Kevin talks about how when Scion first appeared, all he did was like wander around the earth, not really doing anything, and no one could agree on what he was except that he looked sad. And Lizette's like, yeah, he does look sad. And Kevin's like, no, you're wrong. He's not sad. People are just feeling his sadness. And to me, that is what looking sad means, but that's fine.
I think he's trying to make a point that he's emanating his emotions much like say Victoria can push out her emotion aura,
Yeah,
but he's just like emanating what he's feeling.
yeah. Greg said heart of gold, dumb of ass. Yeah, just like that. Um, so by happenstance, younger Kevin had seen Scion near here one night, and he was so emboldened with emotions that he ran up and just totally flipped out at him.
Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm.
have a quote here.
Because he dared to be more miserable than me, or because people were putting all these hopes on him, and he wasn't doing a fucking thing other than being some world-wandering nobody who happened to be able to fly. Don't know. A lot of it was me shouting at myself. I said something about not being miserable, not being a waste, and maybe if he helped in a soup kitchen or something, he'd feel better about himself.
Really
So,
true. I feel like all that is fair.
uh, maybe. I think that it's mostly not applicable to Scion, but okay.
I think most of it is fair. He was working off of bad data.
Yeah.
So Scion basically listens and he starts going around the world kind of helping people. And he says, Kevin says the Golden Man is broken and that he feels like he's wandering the world looking for answers, which is very sad. And Lizette is like, it's kind of weird to like talk like that. About him right in front of him like this, and Kevin's like, yeah, he understands, but he's not really here. um and Lizette suggests he's autistic, and it mostly just reminded me of that one Bob's Burger scene.
You'll have to be more specific.
Where, oh my gosh, what's the little one's name again? I can't remember. Louise. uh Tina does something stupid, and
Mm-hmm.
Louise is like, she can't help it, she's autistic. And Tina goes, yeah, I'm autistic. And Bob goes, you're not autistic, Tina. She's just like blatantly agreeing with him, and she's like, no. So it's like, I guess it feels like so similar to Taylor being like, maybe Labyrinth is autistic. It's like you guys have only met Like the only people with issues that you've met are autistic people. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's just very blanketing. So Kevin says that the only person that Scion seems to listen to is himself. And he would even approach Kevin when he was alone, like kind of checking in to see if Kevin had any, additional input for him, which is very sweet. Um, and Kevin would just give him like little tips and tricks such as
Little tips
be
and
more
tricks.
gentle be more gentle with civilians, like don't throw them around as much, and actually help the capes when the Endbringers show up. And sometimes when Kevin would have like no instructions for him, Cyan would just hang out around him, like just hovering. And so Kevin would like just share stories about his life to break the silence. Um, as Greg said, come to think of it, flying superheroes can pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
But see, that made
I don't
me
know.
think. That made me think of a hero. Well, he could be a villain, but whoever, a cape who would be called Bootstrapper, and he was
Mhm.
one of those terrible people who is always like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then he fails at some point in his life, which causes a fundamental problem for him. But he then comes back even harder, believing in his old ideology, and his power is to have straps on his boots that he can pull up on to launch himself in a direction
It's so
with
dumb.
super strength arms.
I
Listen,
can't stand it.
it's
I
dumb, but there's so many dumb powers. Like the guy
I
who's
firmly
basically
believe that I bet not all flyers can pull themselves up by their bootstraps, depending on how the flight like manifests. Um,
I think that like
yeah.
Victoria's flight is kind of like from the core of her body, but then she has like perfect sort of VTOL control over it, so she can like
Hmm.
adjust her pitch and yaw as she chooses.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, hers is definitely, I feel like, probably one of the better flyers. Um, as far as like how the power works goes.
mm-hmm.
So once when Kevin was telling him some like stories from his childhood, the Golden Man latched on to something and he like makes direct eye contact with Kevin and stares right at him. Which like freaks him out, obviously. And a couple days later, he is when he speaks for the first time, and everyone in the world thinks that he says Scion, but he actually says Zion, Zion.
But even after I know
Um,
that, I just keep calling him Scion.
yeah, I mean they sound very similar. um, I like went to make sure the pronunciation was actually different, and it is just Zion with like a hard Z.
Mm.
Um, So Kevin is talking like kind of negatively about what happened with him and Zion, and Lisette becomes scared that he's like going to take back his instructions to have him help people. She's like kind of being like, "Oh, what are you doing?" It's making me nervous. Um, so Kevin begins talking directly to Scion, and I pulled a quote here.
Those Endbringer motherfuckers, I told you that you. And this sounds like a Brad Neely quote, by the way, so I'm gonna Brad Neely it up. Those Endbringer motherfuckers, I told you that you need to stop them, that you need to fight and protect people, and you have been. He clenched his hands, stared down at the ground. And God help me, maybe I wasn't specific enough.
Oh my gosh. Um, Vale said he got named by the media just like Skitter. Her real name was Flitter, and they misheard it. And Greg said on Earthbet, Utah has Scion National Park instead.
Yeah, because
Stupid.
they misheard.
So Kevin painstakingly clarifies to Scion that he did not just mean to quote unquote stop the Endbringers, but to actually kill them. Um, and he's like been obviously like
But a good
battling
guy would
with
never kill
this.
someone.
He's been like battling with this since, whenever he realized for seemingly like at least a decade or whatever that maybe he didn't give specific enough instructions, and that the reason that Scion hasn't killed the Endbringers isn't because he can't, but he just wasn't specific enough. So pretty stressful. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what were we? Somewhere here?
Yeah. So he like prays that Scion understands because this has been weighing down on him for a long time, that he had used the wrong words, and now the death of countless people is on his hands. So Kevin proclaims that he's here to get his affairs in order. He tells Scion to try to communicate with the good guys more, and that if he needs anyone to come visit, he can come see Lizette, which is really fucked up. And Lizette's like, no, thank you. And Kevin acknowledges that this is like a really shitty move on his part, but that this is better than handing over Scion's power to some like organization or government or protectorate or whatever. And so the Golden Man flies off, and Kevin leaves Lizette to her new
I just imagine
responsibility.
he's like a cartoon character, like he kind of runs off and clicks his feet, like his boots.
He does live under a like very quaint cobblestone bridge, which is very like he's like a little troll man. He's like a riddle boy.
Total riddle boy.
Yeah. What do is it the trolls that give riddles? He's like a troll bridge riddle boy.
Ah, yes, yes, a troll bridge riddle boy.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but it's fun to keep saying it the way you're saying it.
That's the end of the chapter.
All right.
That was a good one.
It's pretty good. I like what it adds to the world, but I don't like reading it, and like I feel like I've probably skipped it on one of my read throughs, but I have read Worm more than other people, like
Mhm.
at least 7 times, probably more than that.
Uh-huh.
um, Trollbridge Riddle Boy is my band. How did you know? Thanks, Craig. Yeah, that's my new indie band. Um, what are your chapter thoughts? Are you like I don't know, how into this chapter are you?
I mean, it's a fun chapter. I am like I don't know, like Kevin doesn't bring like a ton to the table personality wise, and that's like usually my focus is like a characterization, and Lizette doesn't bring anything to the table. She's just there. She's like a nice lady.
See, that's
She's a nice young woman.
that's another like kind of problem I have with it, is that although it does convey a lot of information, and he's got a lot of like things about him, um
Mhm.
and like we can pick up like he's sad under the surface, etc., and like
Yeah.
all these things, but he just kind of feels flat, I guess, to me.
Yeah. I think as somebody who already understands, you know, how homelessness works, then that part of the chapter doesn't add anything for me specifically. And so I think that maybe for like somebody else who is like, I don't know, like hasn't been around, and is because I call them homeless
I
people,
think you're
but you call them
silent for
something
us.
else.
Can you talk again?
Oh,
We heard hasn't
can
been
you hear
around,
me?
and then it stopped.
Can you hear me?
Oh no. Hmm. Well, the internet spiked before the last time we did one. Oh,
Hello. Can you hear me?
I see the green ring going off, but I don't hear you. Um,
They say that it's a you problem.
just a second.
That's okay. I can talk so
Oh,
much
apparently
smack
just I
right
can't
now,
hear you.
dude.
Hmm. Let me unplug and replug this headphones and see
Oh,
if
no,
that
no,
helps.
no. Vale, don't snitch on me. Can't you hear
Oh
me,
no, I
dumbass?
could.
What are you, deaf? I had just watched the Curtis
I
Connor
think I can
video
hear you if I
for
unplug my headphones, which is a problem because then you'll be in the microphone. Yeah.
oh no.
Um. Let me just. Let
I
me just.
watched the Curtis Connor
Oh,
video for
sweet.
for the Bratz movie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
I was
switched the port. I don't know if it was the USB port or what, but this port works.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm glad it wasn't me because I like just got a new Wi-Fi card and stuff. So if my I was stressing. All that is to say, if you are somebody who is not who's like not been around homeless people before, or you have like, like some preconceived notions about them from your parents or from wherever you grew up or whatever, then I can see this chapter being like more impactful.
Yeah, but
Um,
like, I mean, I met a
yeah.
lot of different unhoused people over the years, and like, I spent a lot of
Yeah.
time in Seattle and like Everett, and I mean,
Yeah.
even like here in Boise after I came back from living in Washington, there was a huge spike in the unhoused population in the time I was gone. So it's like I came back here and it's just kind of moved
Hmm.
here
Yeah.
too.
And I've been in a lot of like church situations and stuff, like lots of like soup kitchens and volunteering and that kind of thing where it's like you I don't know. I feel like
When
you
I was
just
a
kind
kid, I
of
did that kind of stuff, but I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
really
yeah.
as an adult, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, it was when I was a kid. But I think that's like kind of the like important time to like understand that kind of stuff because I don't know. I feel like we like discrimination, not just discrimination, but like just general like weirdness and fear and unease around homeless people is like so much more. It's like one of those forms of bigotry that's like totally still accepted as like
Mm-hmm.
okay. And so yeah, I can see this like being I guess that's the thing is this is world building. Like this is a very world building chapter in that way, but this world this aspect of the world is the same as ours. So that's why I feel like it's not as like impactful for me. It's like, yeah, I know all this.
Yeah, yeah.
I can like it's just not a new perspective for me in a way that I think that it probably was a new perspective for a lot of people. Um, depending on your environment. But I also don't live in a big city, so who knows? Maybe Kevin Norton is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about it and like, I think we both did soup kitchen stuff because our background is like pretty Catholic coded.
Yeah, Catholic people love volunteering.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Um,
there's often like soup kitchens like underneath or like set up like in within Catholic churches.
mhm.
In my experience at least. So like you go for your like donuts or whatever, and there's like they're like usually like having a meal for everybody and stuff. So I don't know. That was just like I had anti-instilled fear.
Right.
Yeah, it was very much just like make sure you're engaging with these people and that you're like stopping to talk to them when you can and like giving them things when you can. My mom is more like she'll like not want to give money because she's like a little bit like these bastards where they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to give you this money, but you're not allowed to use it on any of these things or whatever." But instead of lecturing them, she usually would like stop by and ask, "Hey, I'm stopping at this store. What would you like?" And then pick them up stuff, which is nicer. It's definitely more covert than lecturing them.
Hmm. I was part of a group that when I did live in Washington, it was like a humanist group or whatever, so it was like
Mhm.
a non-religious affiliated, but that we basically bought supply kits and then gave them out. So it had like the kind of things people don't think to give unhoused people, like mostly toiletries and stuff, and like the kinds
Mhm.
of it had food as well, but the kinds of stuff that they would need for the winter. It had hand warmer packets as well as like gloves and stuff.
Mhm.
And they were kind of the kind that are more will fit over more hand sizes rather than less.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so we tried to give out stuff that they wouldn't necessarily be given by other people that would help them winter over.
Mhm. Very nice. Yeah, I feel like there's lots of, and that's not to say that I like know everything about like
I
how
don't
these
either.
people.
I don't even know if we were like
It,
doing the best thing. Like maybe we should have just been
yeah,
handing them money. I don't know.
yeah,
But like
yeah,
I do feel
yeah.
like it was something where like some of this crap is overly expensive for no reason. It's good for them to have a
Mhm.
toothbrush and a fresh like toothpaste set if they so
Razors are
choose to use
definitely
it.
one of the things that
Yeah, well that was in the kit too,
like
yeah.
people can't even shave their faces or whatever. And like I don't know, it just like exasperates the problem. It's like this vicious cycle um where like they're not able to take care of themselves, so then people are more intimidated by them. Kevin in this chapter says, because they're like walking in the rain and he feels that he feels Lizette get like tense about like thinking he's gonna try to share the umbrella with her or whatever. And he's like, "Don't worry, I won't do that to you. I smell really bad." And it's like so sad because it's like everything makes itself worse. Like he's not going to be under the umbrella because he hasn't bathed or whatever and washed his clothes, but then he's going to get like it's going to get increasingly worse and worse.
Yeah,
But I
like
don't
there's
know.
stuff like that for me. Like if I can't shave my armpits, the like the amount that I sweat, and this is one of those few, like, it's an Irish thing. The amount that I sweat is unreasonable, and it just is so overpowering if I can't shave my armpits.
That's so funny. I'm the opposite. When when I shave my armpits, I get so sweaty.
Well, I sweat either way, but
Yeah,
it
I definitely get
stays
more sweaty
like
though.
if I have the anyway.
It's more manageable.
Yes.
Um, okay, let's talk about Lizette. Lizette doesn't do anything. She's a French girl. She's really sweet. Which is like surprising for French people, right? Because
Uh-huh.
don't French people like hate homeless people?
I have no
This is
idea. I
like
think that
this is such
this
a
is out of
stereotype, but
that's so out of my ballpark for like knowing.
I gotta know. We need to get some
I do
French
know French
listeners. No
people.
more no more French Canadians. I need to
I
know.
could rudely ask my like almost cousins, like, so are you guys like dicks to homeless people?
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe that's not what I heard. Maybe it's just that there's like a lot of homelessness in Paris specifically. Maybe that is. But it's like it's a city, that's just how cities are. So I don't know. Um, but she's French. She carries cash. These are the things we learn about Lizette.
And she carries British cash
She carries British cash,
because she's in
even though she's French.
foggy old
So
London town. So you know.
yeah, she's been assimilated. She's fashionable. That is what Kevin mentions. He's like, dang, this girl's outfit
Well, she's
slaps.
fashionable to him, so like it might just be like some rate. I don't know. It's just we don't really have a lot on his perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I had not realized, I think in when I read this chapter before that she's only 20 because well, he guesses that she's like a very new adult. So like 19 to 22 or whatever, which is like to me to be going around following people to bridges is quite brave of her. That's the other thing, is that he specifically is like, I like you for Scion because you're so brave, because like nobody else would have came and like followed me like you did, which is fair.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that
Um,
overall, she's got like this the kinds of qualities that she would have needed to go with him, um,
mhm.
like are what he was looking for. The kind of
Yeah,
like
she's got
earnest,
like a
like
general like
generosity
generosity, a good
and
spirit.
the baseline courage of
Yeah.
whatever. So yes. Um so there's all that, and I, just to bring something up, I just recalled, I forget what, but it might have even been We've Got Worm, but some other commentator said that they were concerned at first that Lizette was some sort of um like plant, in terms of like sent there by some organization to like worm her way in with Kevin or something. And I just was like, I guess like anything's possible because it's parahumans, but like I don't think that's the implication.
I don't think so. It's like so random. Like, how would I don't know. I'm glad that it wasn't something like that,
Mm.
personally.
Yeah, that would have really undercut the chapter for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's like just very like these are two very normal non-parahuman people. Lizette's definitely like anti-parahuman. Not not in her ethics, but she's very unlikely to be a
Yes, she's not
parahuman.
part of the anti-parahuman faction. She's just
Yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah. I mean, who knows? She could have been like, this is the perfect opportunity to eradicate all people with powers.
Mm.
Yeah, he should have been like, I've been thinking about this a lot because of Love is Blind. But people don't seemingly like won't ask about politics the whole time, and then they'll get engaged, and then like the show doesn't want to show it, but there'll clearly be issues there. And it's like that would always be my first,
Yeah,
that would be my immediate first question.
I'm not
And
I'm not gonna waste my time going out with a conservative
I'm not
even
gonna
once.
talk
Like
to
even
anybody. Yeah.
once. Like no
And
way.
and I'm and like risking, because the risk is that you fall in love.
Yeah.
Like
What if I
risking
fall in
that
love
you
with that
fall in
asshole?
love and then you
They're a
find
terrible.
out that they think so, that not even like it could just be that they're like that they're more leftist, but that they have like one terrible opinion and you're like, I can't. Anyways, that's like the first. Lizette would have walked up to me and I would have been like, she would have handed me the $10 bill, and then I would have been like, what do you think of the current state of the world?
Well, she would have handed you the $10 bill, and you look down, and it's not even a 10. It's one of those little
It's a
scripts
pamphlet.
yeah, that they trick you. It's like, oh, these dollars are good to turn in with the Lord or whatever.
Oh
They're
my
like prayer
God.
dollars or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I was imagining it was a
Have
chit
you seen
track or
those
whatever it's
fake
called.
bills? Well, yeah.
I have seen them, yeah.
It would be
But
so terrible and funny if she handed him a Chick track, because those canonically exist in this world, because Jack Chick
yeah,
predates and his tracks both predate the like Scion coming to Earth kind of event. So
yeah, so good.
so you can still go into
Um,
a Mongolian barbecue and they'll hand you
dude, that would have been the best plot twist if he walked away from her and then he went to go look at the dollar bill, and it was like a fake like call our church thing, and then he's like, "No."
no.
Okay, that's all I have to say about Lizette. She's fine. It does seem like Kevin picked a like generally good person to put this on.
Yeah. Um do you want to talk about Kevin next? I
Hmm.
again don't have that much to say about him. He does have a tragic backstory, and he
He
does
has a
have
tragic
a
backstory.
masking personality where he pretends to be all chill because that's the only way that he can go through his day-to-day life and keep it
Yeah, he
together.
pretends to be kind of like goofy and fun, and also like really like he like tries really hard to be like cognizant of other people. Um, but he's like really sad inside.
And
He
he
like
covers
doesn't
up his
there's something
sadness with a layer of cringe.
yeah, there's definitely a really high layer of cringe that I can understand why he's gotten to the point where he lets that out of himself into the people around him. But
Yeah.
but I would probably also feel uncomfortable if I was walking around and then somebody was like, I'm the most powerful man in the world. Some of it, not to victim blame, but Kevin.
Kevin, you gotta
Like,
calm it down.
I'm sure that more people would be more comfortable with you if you stopped doing that specific thing. No matter what, I would be if somebody was in a suit walking around saying that stuff, I would be very scared of them. Like
Hmm. I know what
I
you
would
mean.
actually probably be I would probably be more scared of a suited individual because they could like they probably have more clout and they could get me. They are probably a cult leader if that's the case.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Basically,
so
it's not a good thing to go around saying, I think, in general.
it's not, and it's like he's like wanting people to ask him about it. Clearly, he's like doing that
Ask
thing
me
where
about
you
my
like,
screenplay.
yeah,
Please
he's
ask
just
me
doing
about my
that thing.
screenplay.
He just like really wants, and he like keeps implying things to Lizette, and then she like doesn't even ask about it the first time, where he's like, "Oh, I'm the most powerful man in the world," and then she's like, and she says, "Hi, most powerful man in the world. I'm Lizette." Um, and I don't know. He's just I can understand people avoiding his vibes a little bit.
Mhm.
And it's like, I'm sure that it like took him a while like of being treated like that baseline for him to like get to this place where he'll just go around and say whatever he wants.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. He's got a sad backstory. He's got I wouldn't say he's the most powerful man in the world, but he could kill a lot of people if he really wanted to.
Zion, why don't you just kill as many people as you can and see if you feel any better?
Yeah. See if that helps you find whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all I have about Kevin. You want to talk about Scion?
Um, well, we learn from Kevin that he's really a Jesus freak. He loves the Garden of Zion. He's
Yes.
just pretty into that concept or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so much so that he only ever said one thing, and it was that. Um, he's like, "It's me. I'm cool." Uh,
Yeah, and it didn't even seem like Kevin it didn't even seem like he was telling a direct story. He was like talking about his like cousin who I can only assume is Jewish or something. And like I don't know, maybe talked about like because he was saying, "Oh, stories from my childhood." Like maybe he went to a bar mitzvah or something. I don't know. I can't imagine how this would have like come up in casual conversation, but everyone's it would make more sense if Kevin like knew what he was talking about, but she's like, "Oh, is that Hebrew?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess. I don't really know."
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let me. I don't. I feel like a cursory glance at the term Zion is not actually going to get me good results because it's one of those.
hmm
I feel like it is a word with a lot of cultural contention around it. So
Yeah,
I
it
have
seems
not
like there
done
could be
the
there
research.
could be a lot going on with it.
Mhm.
But basically
Whereas
that
I did
is,
feel like just
this.
looking up a word like scion, I'm like, people aren't going to freak out and have like insane things to say about the word scion, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Um Vale said, on the other hand, there is one person who is the most powerful person in the world, so it could be the one saying it. And Greg said, my parents were not religious. You still pick up a bunch of Bible stories growing up in America. Yeah, but less Scion stuff. If we're
Yeah,
talking about like
I
Christian
couldn't,
America.
like, that's the main thing is like I have a decent background with that kind of stuff in terms of like knowing a medium amount, but I couldn't tell you about Zion really. Uh,
Hmm.
I could tell you that what's his name? Bob Marley had said the Iron Lion in Zion because I mean that rhyme sticks in your mind. You're like, that's pretty good, but like I
Yeah.
don't know what that means. So
Well, something about Iron Lions.
yeah.
Yeah. Scion, we learn where he got his clothes, which is like a really like funny random fact because it's like at the very in like the first Danny chapter, they're like, where did he get his jumpsuit? Like
Yeah,
who's clothing this man? Because he's obviously not doing it himself. He didn't like walk into a store and do it. We would have heard about it.
this absolute
Um,
barbarian.
yeah. Um,
Did Danny McBride write this story? There's dicks everywhere.
um, yeah, so he's got a cool jumpsuit. He um as far as Kevin's assessment goes, which does seem pretty accurate, Scion does not look sad. He radiates his sadness out to everybody because I guess he has no boundaries. No
Accurate.
differentiation. And he seems to be looking for answers. He describes him as like he's kind of empty and broken inside, uh like something happened or he's like very confused about a situation and that's like he just kind of like goes around being confused and wandering and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a pretty accurate assessment.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't know what to do with his time, and he's got a lot of
Hmm.
time on his hands. Seemingly,
Yeah, he doesn't sleep, so
he doesn't
you know
sleep, and he doesn't age, from what we can tell.
he and uh
And
he and
his
Dragon
beard
should
doesn't
hang out
grow.
more.
Yeah,
Imagine he and Dragon and Miss Militia. Who are they? Do we know any
Imagine
other?
Dragons.
Do we know any other capes that don't sleep besides them so far?
Alexandria.
Alexandria doesn't sleep, right?
I feel like there's probably several more that we're just not thinking of.
Just the ladies. But Dragon, I feel like I don't even count Dragon because she didn't sleep before her trigger either.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think, well, if you care about Tinker Tech, I mean Defiant, but
yeah, not really like a
it's not really
hero thing.
directly agent based or whatever.
2 plus 4 times 5 says weld, kinda, but he does need a couple hours. Also, hi, I'm driving. Hi, 2 plus 4 times 5. Yeah, I had totally
Hey.
forgotten about weld too. So probably like a lot of the case 53s and
Oh yeah,
stuff.
probably way more Case 53s don't sleep than normal people.
Yeah. Um, Interesting. What else did we learn about Scion this chapter?
I mean, we kind of infer that Kevin's probably right, but we learn that he's just been fighting the Endbringers, not trying to stop them, and that
Yes, yes, yes.
he didn't give any good priorities. Even here, he fucks it up. He doesn't say prioritize fighting the Endbringers and killing them above
Yeah.
other priorities. Like it, he just doesn't think it through even in this chapter. That's why I'm like, Kevin, I just don't love you that much, bud. Um,
He doesn't have cape brain. He like is not a strategist.
yeah, yeah, I know. It's just it's frustrating. It's his whole mission was to come here and
And
clarify,
like fix
and he doesn't
things.
fucking
Yeah.
clarify it for shit.
Yeah.
You know what I just noticed
Um,
on your design is the glowing of him where he goes from gold to white. We were just getting advice
mhm,
last night. I was with Daniel and Greg, and we were seeing
mhm.
the people we play Hero Quest with, and one of our other friends said, you should paint white into the back of like the runes on this one door so that when you
Mhm.
paint the other color around the edges of the rune, it will look like it's glowing from the inside in a way that this
Yeah,
single color just can't possibly pull off.
yeah, exactly. That's like how you do a lot of like lighting and stuff.
Mm.
But that's definitely my like biggest weakness, mostly because I just do not prioritize it, is lighting and shading.
Oh, well, even
There's
if
like
it's really stylized here, but I think this one in particular is really good for that.
yeah, thank you. There's just a lot of like physics and stuff that if you like want it to be realistic, you need to take into account, but I've never been very committed to that.
I think I think it can be fine if it's like especially if it's a style like this that's not really realistic.
Hmm.
Like I know exactly what's being depicted, but this doesn't look like actual.
Yeah, it's not supposed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
look like a actual like anything really. Um, and like this perspective is all like stylized and stuff too.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Like things like kind of like the bridge wouldn't look like this if it was in a realistic art style. So,
hmm.
but like you know, you probably know that I prefer this to a realistic style, or just prefer like any interesting style over something that's just sort of depicting life. Because like you could take a photo if you just want to look at a real bridge.
Yeah, for real. That's how I feel about it. But I don't know. It's there's like there's kind of different ideas of what quote unquote real art is in
Well, as
the
someone who
art
can
community.
only like draw kind of what I can see, and so I feel like I can only draw like realistic ish stuff. I'm not
Hmm.
really that interested in it, which is part of why I haven't pursued it in the past. Because I
Yeah.
just don't feel like almost most of the things that I've produced in the past, I have not been very happy with. In that it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, it's like real life but worse.
Too real. Um, do you have anything else to say about Scion?
No, no, he's glowing. No.
He's glowing, he's cool. He doesn't have feelings really, or he's like not acknowledging them properly. Um, Kevin's assessment is that he like his senses are like so strong that that's like why he doesn't react to things around him. Um,
And that's
and
more
that
accurate than like the autism thing because it's like she's like overstimulating and it's like he both can hear and see everything around him and is also not overstimulated.
yeah, he's not overstimulated. It's just that like nothing is really taking priority, I guess.
He's so
Um,
depressed he doesn't give a fuck about anything.
that it could be true.
Like that's definitely the implication I've gotten as a having read the full book reader.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I don't know if I have anything for powers, knowledge, and world building because it was kind of like,
wrapped up in all the stuff we just said.
yeah, wrapped up in in like Scion stuff.
Yeah. I guess it's like a reveal that it's a reveal that someone told him to do this and that it wasn't his own idea to like just help people. But like I don't know. I don't think it necessarily was like oh I mean maybe I felt differently the first time I read it, but
Yeah,
it's not
I don't
that big of
remember
a.
being like, yeah, I don't remember being like gasping or anything like that. It was just kind of like,
And there are
oh.
many things in the book that I I am hype about and like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, like all of the plot twists. Maybe it's because it's like in comparison to all of the like reveals that happen
Like
in Arc 17.
Arc
It's
17
very
and also like even a little further back, but at the end of arc 14, when it's Legends chapter and he meets up with everybody, it's like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like
There's just so many crazy reveals in this book that
there's
this
so
is
many
not on my
crazy
radar.
reveals when there's like a reveal that I don't care about that much, and I'm like, yeah.
This is just a normal fact.
Ion is the worst cape. I don't want to hear about him. I'm just saying. Has he done anything interesting ever? No. Now we have the reveal of who gave him the jumpsuit. That was really like the basis of the reveal. It's like, oh my gosh.
You know what's hilarious? You could see it
now
as
I
like
know.
this is where Han Solo got his famous gun from. Like it literally is the same concept where it's like that kind of thing. Not that I think this is hack writing in the same way that is. I think this is just normal writing and a good way to connect it back to be like, oh, remember that shit that they said earlier on? Kind of was telling you that Kevin actually is right. So it's more like planting and payoff than it is like a stupid go back and justify every little thing.
Yeah.
But it gives me the same level of like, okay.
Like, okay, and
yeah, exactly.
Not to be a hater.
No, you know that I love this story and will forever sing its praises. I just think this chapter is one of my lower chapters overall. Like, I still think it's good, even.
Yeah, I do still think it's good. It's well written. Let's see. Okay, well, I think that's all I have for powers, knowledge, and world building. Just that Cyan's been getting his jumpsuits from Kevin. Oh, also his jumpsuit is always perfectly clean. I feel like I'm not sure if like that had been mentioned before, but that is an important aspect.
At the beginning.
Yeah, that's an important aspect to me as an artist because you know, that it's like a very different look if he's always got a clean one versus he's got like a real fucked up jumpsuit.
Yeah, I think the idea is that he's passively using one of his like many powers to like radiate off any of the particulates and stuff, so it's always clean and nothing clings to it because like he has fine-tuned enough control with that power to just vibrate off the stuff without fucking up the clothes.
It does also tell us that Scion views the jumpsuit as a part of his persona or whatever at this point, which is like only notable, I feel like, retroactively. Like once you've already read the story, it's like it really doesn't, because that's like a normal cape reaction to have, is that your costume becomes a part of you, like how Victoria's costume is also bubbled by her power, so it doesn't like get dirty or wet or whatever when she's fighting, and her shield is up.
If someone were to launch a big attack at him, his defenses would block outside the clothes, and his clothes would remain. He wouldn't leave them to get blown up, and his like golden bod just whatever. Like he's clearly gotten the one jumpsuit over 12 years ago that hasn't gotten fucked up since.
Yeah.
So which yes, it being part of his cape, I don't need the golden nude man.
Getting his clothes blown off every fucking week.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny.
But yes, I agree that it is important because it shows that he kind of has the same predilections toward like physically manifested identity and like the masks and everything. Even though he doesn't actually wear a mask, he does. You know. Anyway.
He understands them. Bill said, thank goodness that Kevin Norton wasn't Scottish.
Yeah. Oh man, flapping around out there in the wind. That'd be terrible.
So stupid. Yeah, that's why he was wearing the toga at first, and everyone was like, this isn't helping at all.
Yeah, this is bad. Try
this
again.
is actually worse. This is actually worse than when he was naked.
I think a toga would cover his loin zone. I don't think we have to worry.
It depends on how crazy he's flying. And he like doesn't. I don't think he needs to like use his eyes, so he could. I don't know. He can he can get in all kinds of disarray, and he probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
The 3-point hero landing was always a Toga problem. Cyan's jumpsuit is somehow more indestructible than the Hulk shorts. True. The Hulk shorts are more impressive to me, honestly.
I mean, I think he just wears XL stretch shorts under his pants and just looks like shit as Bruce Banner.
They're like way too baggy on him.
Well, but they're inside his normal pants, and it's like
Yeah, you have to,
clearly like
bunch 'em
crinkled
down.
and stuff, and they're like, yeah, he's got the belt holding it down and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Bruce Banner definitely
he
wears
looks like he's
skinny.
wearing adult
like definitely a
diapers.
skinny jean boy too, so he's got him like stuffed in there.
We notice you always wear purple underwear. Is that like just your vibes?
They're like always kind of like sticking out, like mushrooming out the top, like it's like they don't fit you. And
like, look, you're jacked and stuff, so you don't have a muffin top, but you've got like an underwear muffin top. You're gonna have to get it together, Banner.
Really strange. Go buy some. You're a scientist. You make so much money. I think. I don't know a lot about Bruce Banner.
He's on the run from the law, so the fact that he even has to keep buying all these clothes is probably detrimental.
Yeah, true. It's like werewolf rules, where every time they change, they're like, ah, dang it, I had to scuttle back home naked.
If I was getting pissed as Bruce Banner, I would definitely take my shirt off. Save something. Come on.
I think he's too enraptured with his rage to like have any forethought. Like, hey, get away from me. I'm getting angry. Vale said Bruce Banner with his blazing purple undies. Maybe he wore suspenders to keep them steady.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining the Hulk still also having the suspenders.
I can't remember if this is right, but there's like some supervillain whose like pants are like bigger. Is Egghead? Is that his name?
Egghead?
Egghead.
What? From
Egghead
what?
from Sonic. What is his name?
Oh, Dr. Eggman.
Yeah, Dr. Eggman.
Sorry, you said Egghead, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Dr. Egghead, does he have like pants that are too big for him and then suspenders? I'm like, I think that
let me see.
Maybe he's in like sometimes he's in like a machine. You know what? Actually, I might be thinking of Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in Wallace and Gromit, that's definitely their trousers with overalls because they hold you into them even when they're on the ceiling.
Well, I know, but he has the one episode where he has like robot pants on, and I think the robot pants are like way bigger than him, and then he still has the suspenders on them, so they're like extending out from himself.
Yeah, that's totally the wrong trousers. Yeah.
2 + 4 × 5 says Bruce Banner wears adult diapers, so part of the side effects from when he was blasted with 70-ish times the standard lethal dose of gamma radiation. No. Greg says Dr. Robosonic Egghead. I always say Egghead instead of what his real name is, Eggman.
That's hilarious.
Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 + 4 × 5 said, I was just typing up a reference to Wallace and Gromit in the wrong trousers, but then you said it first. Yeah, that was what I was thinking of for sure, was Wallace and Gromit with his
I was like trying to remember if there was like an old version of Robotnik where he had suspenders, and I'm like, well, he does have those 2 lines of his outfit, but I think he just wears a really dumbass looking coat.
I swear he has suspenders.
Eggman has
in the
way worse style
Sonic.
than, like, he had better style when he was Robotnik, because it was at least like a weird, he was like a circle man, but then like later he's just like, I have the worst jacket. I look like a Kingdom Hearts character, but also Robotnik.
Val said, I was also about to type the right answer to a thing too. I wasn't. That was just a lie.
Thanks, Vale.
Do we want to do audience participation?
Yes, I will say as we skip past the bonus section, I do intend to keep doing portraits, but I did not make one this week. I
Okay, good.
just didn't really have the
I
energy.
thought you were gonna put me on blast for not coming up with a bonus.
No. I was saying I did not because the bonus is where I'm just gonna slot the portrait look thing.
For the bonus, we could have done one time Tyra Banks decided that she wanted to do some investigative journalism. And so she quote unquote became homeless for a day.
Oh no.
A day. Which is like, that means you went outside. That means you went outside and like hung out.
Yeah.
The
other thing is she's still Tyra Banks, so like, and she's got camera people there.
Well, it was still Tyra Banks, but she like did smear like dirt and stuff on her face. She like dressed up.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's like, bitch, you're just outside. What are you talking about? Oh my God. We could have done that. Oh, we went and we experienced houselessness for 12 hours.
Yeah. Greg says, what kind of rent nonsense is that? Yeah.
Oh my God, so bad. Oh, Tyra Banks. Problematic icon.
Maybe just problematic based on everything I've seen.
Infamous person.
Yeah. I mean, I only ever hear bad things about her. Like, every time somebody tells me a story about Tyra Banks, I'm like, oh my God. Like,
dude, even on
every time
America's
Elliot
Next
brings
Top
something
Model,
up to me and tells me something about Next Top Model, then I'm like,
so crazy. It's like so crazy, and it's like the perspective of the show is that Tyra's in the right, and so bye. And so to see the things that they like think are fine to leave in the edit, I'm like, oh my God, you thought this was gonna make people like, you thought people were gonna relate to Tyra in this situation?
You thought this was acceptable?
Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Let's do audience participation.
Yes.
Let's derailed a little bit.
So Vale, okay, so the question is, what would you do if Scion approached you instead of Kevin Norton? Vale says, I would science the heck out of it. First and foremost, I would ensure pants were worn on all occasions, then science. A tasty burger. If this works, I can make sure I get food delivery going forward. Driving long distances is lame. I'd ask for safe, comfortable lift to Indiana to visit family. If this works, I would make sure I have chauffeur services going forward. I'd love to get in great physical shape. I'd ask for help working out. If this works, I'd also have a workout partner. Audiobooks are just not always easily available. Ask for books to be read to me in authentic sounding character voices. If this works, I get a nice audiobook resource. 5. Check if there are any problems in the world he might help with. After ensuring the safety of using his abilities as noted previously, it's science, so it's for the common good. Yeah.
That was a really good one. Thank you.
Important science. Oh yeah, Greg asked me, are you sure you wouldn't science the heck out of it?
Oh
my God. Greg says, Kevin treats Scion as a vessel empty and waiting to be filled. He doesn't really regard Scion as intelligent, at best as a child or a dog. He doesn't try to understand Scion. Who is he? Why is he sad? What does he want? Even if he doesn't answer, I would ask. I would try to make an emotional connection. Tell him about my life, my struggles. No pressure to do anything, just sharing. Maybe I'd read him some books, listen to some StoryCorp, Ohio, or Mr. Rogers. Scion can really use some Mr. Rogers. Greg, Vale says, Science it is.
Science it is.
Or maybe just Scion's it. But StoryCorp O. O is just O, but capitalized.
Hmm.
StoryCorp O. Well, I don't know what that is, because I am uneducated. Um, uh, 2 plus 4 times 5 said with a joke tag, tone tag. I might try to get Scion to read my favorite web novel series. Oh my word.
You guys and your audiobooks, that's all you want.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Victoria, what would you do?
Oh, I would panic really hard.
I'm more of a rules lawyer type of guy, especially when I was younger. So I feel like if I had had this opportunity, I would have like just piled sentence upon sentence of like, do this, and then if that, then this. Like I would have given him like a task priority list, like a real freak, because that is definitely more who I used to be. So
Yeah, like here's your daily checklist, and then here's the other things you want to get to if you can.
yeah.
And then here are the things that take priority over over anything if you happen to encounter it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I
Because, like,
probably
he
wouldn't
checked
deal with
in many,
this.
many times after he started fighting the Endbringers. It's not like that was their last contact or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. The checking in is like,
So he had
I think
time to
the
correct.
first.
He had fucking time to course correct. It's fine to fuck it up at the very start, but I mean, like, it's not great, but.
I don't think that I would notice that Scion wasn't fighting as hard as he possibly
But
could.
what I would notice is that the Endbringers show up, and then it is a random amount of time with Scion doing random tasks. Like, that seems to be like a common known thing,
Before he
even to
shows up. Yeah,
civilians.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That he's like he'll like start going there. Like they'll be like, "Oh, Scion's headed over." But like who knows? Who knows how long it'll take for him to actually help.
Yeah. Because they
That's
even say
true.
that in the documentary, like, that he can't prioritize for shit.
Yeah.
So.
Not a great, as we said before, ultimate himbo, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, he takes the form of a
Um,
man for a reason.
yeah, I would probably panic and like, hmm, I don't know. Not to say I would turn him over to the government, but like us, it depends on how old. 'Cause like he said he was 20 when he was approached, and that's probably what I would have done when I was 20. Not like turn him over, but like go try to tell somebody, and then I'm sure they like, because what he says is he did try to tell people, and then they like didn't believe him. I don't know if like he went and tried to tell like policemen or like he like called their what is the British version of the protectorate? He like refers to it.
The King's Men exists.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if he like actually like tried to tell somebody like to get help or if he's just talking about like, oh, I told strangers on the streets.
Grab
Grab
Scion
Scion
by
by
the
the
hand,
hand.
walk him to the local PRT office with him.
That's literally probably what I would have done. It's like I'm not fucking dealing with this. This is somebody
He
else's
doesn't seem
problem.
to ever negatively react. Like, he doesn't respond to getting a shoe hit into him. I mean, obviously it's a low, like, ridiculously low damage value. It's like if an ant walked on you, not even bit you. Um,
Yeah.
but like, it's I think he could probably take him by the hand and just balloon him around.
I think that you
Come on, you
could. I don't think
balloon.
that he. It doesn't seem like he would be resistant unless he like had come there with an intention or
I
something.
think he just drift along with him.
I think he'd just go.
I
I would
think
just
he's chill
carry him
with Kevin.
around. I would take my Scion for a walk every day. Um, I would take him with me to go stand on the side of the street and say, "Hey, I'm the most powerful man in the world," and this time people will believe me.
Yeah, yeah. I when he first said that and he did have to correct, oh, I don't control him like you think. I was like, okay, because I did think when he was kind of like being vague as shit, I was like, is it like a projection that he can do? Is he
Yeah,
like
he's like actually a parahuman or whatever.
yeah?
Yeah, I'm
Because
glad
we've
it
seen
was out.
multiple parts of projections that are like pretty different. I still don't
Yeah,
know
and it
100% sure if like those theories they have about the Siberian are like which one is correct exactly. If it sort of drains the life force out of him, if he has control over it, if he doesn't, like I don't know. They just don't really
yeah,
make it explicit.
they never clarify or like we never get a straight answer on whether like he is the Siberian and like or does he just direct her
Does
or
he even
like is
see
she
through
just
her eyes or
totally
no?
yeah, is she just like totally her own being? Um like
And they're just
based off
allies.
of yeah, like based off of some like part of his neuroses basically.
Yeah.
Um yeah. Interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't really have that much more to say, so it's a bit of a short episode for the two of us, but I think we're done? Question mark?
Yeah. Avail had said, "We still don't believe you. I think based on Gru stealing the power, there are clues it's not autonomous." Yeah, that's true. He like doesn't say that he was like controlling him or whatever.
Yeah, oh, you're right. You're right. That's more specific. He he did control the projection he made. Um
Mhm.
but I don't does he make it clear whether you can see through the projection or not? Cuz like he could see the whole scene in front of him
Mhm.
just with his own eyes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like it kind of felt like a vague Taylor thing where it's like I can tell my bugs to do something ambiguously and they'll just kind of figure it out. Um, but it also
Mm.
felt like
I'm glad you brought that
like
up, Vale. I just didn't think about that part.
yeah, I had forgotten about that too. It also could be like maybe it's like just a projection and it like kind of has its own will that it builds up over time or something.
Hmm. Yeah. Either way, there's several different types of projections. Oh, and you know what? We'll see another one coming up kind of soon. A real hateable
Hmm.
uh, character.
Whoa.
You know, when you see some hateable characters. Um.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, I'm going to do the outro music and read the links. The outro music now is much shorter, so I have to like be conscious about not starting it when I have more to say. But oh, and again, this is Queen Scourge. Oh, I probably didn't update the. Oh, good, I did update the music thing in the description. So, Queen Scourge by ScarlettXOX. You can find her at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. And our Discord server link is in the description as well as the channel description. The author of the work being discussed here can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com, and the fan-made audiobook by Rain's original group was audioworm.rain-online.org. Greg says cheers, and Vale says thanks and take care all. Do you have a final goodbye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody!